From a show originally meant to star a white student at an HBCU to Tupac's secret acting jealousy, A Different World harbored more bizarre behind-the-scenes secrets than any sitcom had a right to. Between flip-up glasses that inspired cell phones, executive racism that killed storylines, and a future Superman playing a racist antagonist, this beloved show's production was stranger than its fictional Hillman College campus ever was. Fact 1. The show was originally about a white girl, before A Different World became the beloved show about black college life that we know today. The original concept was completely different and frankly pretty problematic. The very first idea that Bill Cosby and the producers came up with centered around a white female student who would be attending a historically black college or university, and they wanted to explore what that dynamic would look like on television. The plan was to focus entirely on this white character's experiences, as she navigated being one of the few white students at a predominantly black institution. To add some star power to the concept, the creators had approached the legendary Lena Horne to play an acting teacher at the fictional college, which would have been an incredible casting coup given her status as an entertainment icon. However, during the development process, the creators realized that this premise might not be the best approach for telling authentic stories about historically black colleges and universities. The focus on a white character's perspective at an HBCU could have easily turned into a show more about white discomfort than about celebrating black academic excellence and culture. So the concept underwent a major transformation before it ever made it to air. Instead of centering the white student's experience, the show was redesigned to follow Denise Huxtable from The Cosby Show as she started her college journey at the fictional Hillman College. The white roommate character, eventually played by Marisa Tomei, became a supporting role rather than the main focus. This change proved to be absolutely crucial for the show's success and cultural impact. By shifting away from the white student perspective, A Different World was able to authentically showcase black college life, address important social issues, and become a show that actually inspired countless young people to attend historically black colleges and universities. What started as a potentially tone-deaf concept about white experiences at black institutions transformed into a groundbreaking celebration of HBCU culture that remains influential decades later. Fact 2. Meg Ryan almost starred instead of Marisa Tomei. In one of television's most interesting what-if scenarios, Meg Ryan was actually the first choice to play Maggie Lawton, the white roommate character on A Different World, long before Marisa Tomei ever entered the picture. The casting directors and producers had already met with Ryan during the preliminary casting process and were completely sold on having her join the show as a series regular. According to director Jay Sandrich, who worked on the early development of the series, the casting team had sent Ryan from Los Angeles specifically to meet with the producers about the roommate role. At this point, the script for the pilot episode hadn't even been written yet, but the creative team was already falling in love with the idea of Ryan bringing her natural charm and comedic timing to the character who would be Denise Huxtable's college roommate. Sandrich later revealed that during their meeting, everyone involved was thrilled with Ryan's audition and screen presence. The producers, directors, and network executives all felt that she would be perfect for the role and could bring the right energy to balance out Lisa Bonet's Denise character. They were ready to move forward with offering her the part and making her a central part of the show's first season. However, just when it seemed like everything was falling into place, Ryan's agents stepped in and changed the entire trajectory of both her career and the show. Her representation decided that she shouldn't commit to a television series at that point in her career, believing that she should focus on building her film career instead of getting tied down to a long-term television contract. This decision proved to be incredibly strategic for Ryan's career, as she went on to become one of the biggest romantic comedy stars of the late 80s and 90s, with films like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle. The producers quickly pivoted and brought in Marissa Tomei, who ended up playing Maggie for the show's first season before the character was written out when the series was completely retooled. Fact 3. Executive racism killed Marissa Tomei's interracial romance. One of the most shocking behind-the-scenes stories from A Different World involves how network executives essentially fired Marissa Tomei because they were uncomfortable with the idea of her white character dating a black character on television. When Debbie Allen took over as producer for the second season, Allen, who was a graduate of Howard University and deeply committed to authentic representation, saw tremendous potential in exploring interracial relationships through Maggie's character. She specifically wanted to pair Maggie with Kadeem Hardison's character Dwayne Wayne, creating what could have been one of television's first meaningful interracial college relationships. Allen had developed a particularly compelling storyline where Maggie would accompany Dwayne home for Thanksgiving dinner, essentially creating a "guess who's coming to dinner" scenario where his family would have to confront their own assumptions about interracial dating. Allen envisioned this storyline as an opportunity to explore reverse racism and show the challenges that interracial couples face from multiple perspectives. She believed that by having Dwayne's mother react negatively to him bringing home a little white girl, the show could address the complex realities of racial prejudice that exist within all communities, not just among white people. However, when Allen pitched these storylines to network executives, they were met with immediate and strong resistance. The executives made it clear that they had no interest in featuring interracial dating on the show. And rather than simply rejecting the storylines, they decided to remove Tomei from the series entirely. This decision wasn't just about creative differences or character development. It was a deliberate choice to avoid any possibility of showing a black man and white woman in a romantic relationship on primetime television. Allen later spoke openly about this situation during a Television Critics Association panel in 2006, explaining how the executive's opposition to her interracial storylines directly led to Tomei's departure from the show. This revelation shed light on how deeply ingrained racism within the television industry prevented groundbreaking storytelling that could have advanced conversations about race relations in America. Fact 4. Lisa Bonet and Marissa Tomei were real-life roommates. One of the most heartwarming behind-the-scenes stories from A Different World is that Lisa Bonet and Marissa Tomei's on-screen roommate relationship was actually mirrored in real life, and their friendship has lasted for decades beyond the show's brief first season. While their characters, Denise and Maggie, were navigating college life together at the fictional Hillman College, Bonet and Tomei were actually sharing living space in real life during the filming of the show's first season. This real-life living arrangement helped create an authentic chemistry between the two actresses that translated beautifully onto the screen. The natural comfort and easy friendship that viewers saw between Denise and Maggie wasn't just good acting, it was the result of two young women who were genuinely getting to know each other and building a real friendship while working together on the show. Even though both actresses left A Different World after the first season when the show was completely retooled, their friendship continued to grow stronger over the years. What makes their bond particularly special is how deeply Tomei became integrated into Bonet's family life. Tomei serves as the godmother to all three of Bonet's children, which speaks to the incredible trust and love that exists between these two women. The depth of their friendship becomes even more apparent when you learn that Tomei was actually present for the births of two of Bonet's children. Being invited to witness such intimate and meaningful moments shows just how close these two became, far beyond what you might expect from co-stars who only work together for one television season. Bonet has 3 children from her relationships with musician Lenny Kravitz and actor Jason Momoa. Her daughter Zoe Kravitz, born in 1988, and her 2 children with Momoa, Lola, and Nakoa Wolf, all have Tomei as their godmother. This means that despite the relatively short time Bonet and Tomei spent working together on A Different World, Their connection was strong enough to create a lifelong bond that has remained important to both women throughout their careers and personal lives. Fact 5. The pilot became TV history's highest rated. When A Different World premiered on September 24, 1987, it didn't just have a successful debut, it actually shattered television records by becoming the highest-rated pilot episode in the entire history of American television. This incredible achievement was something that nobody in the industry had expected, especially considering that spin-off shows typically struggle to find their own identity and audience separate from their parent programs. The massive success of the pilot episode was largely due to the incredible popularity of The Cosby Show, which had been dominating television ratings since its debut in 1984. By the time A Different World launched, The Cosby Show was consistently ranking as the #1 show on television, and audiences were genuinely excited to follow Denise Huxtable's journey to college. The fact that the spin-off would focus on one of the most beloved characters from the original show created enormous anticipation among viewers who had been watching Denise grow up for several seasons. The pilot episode benefited tremendously from its prime time slot immediately following The Cosby Show on Thursday nights, which was already considered must-see television for millions of American families. This scheduling strategy meant that viewers who were already tuned in for Bill Cosby's family comedy would naturally continue watching to see what Denise was up to at Hillman College. The record-breaking ratings for the pilot episode were particularly remarkable because they demonstrated the incredible drawing power of The Cosby Show franchise and the audience's hunger for more content featuring the Huxtable family. The success also showed that there was a genuine appetite for television programming that featured Black characters in positive, aspirational settings like college campuses. This historic pilot performance set extremely high expectations for the series and gave NBC tremendous confidence in the show's potential for long-term success. However, what makes this record even more interesting is that despite the pilot's incredible ratings success, the show would undergo major changes after its first season, essentially becoming a completely different program while still maintaining strong viewership throughout its 6-season run. Fact 6. Al Green was originally chosen for the theme song. Before Aretha Franklin became forever associated with A Different World through her powerful rendition of the theme song, the legendary soul singer Al Green was actually the first major recording artist that producers approached to perform the opening music for the show. This little-known piece of television history reveals just how much thought and star power the creators wanted to put behind the show's musical identity from the very beginning. Al Green, who was already established as one of the greatest soul singers of all time, with hits like Let's Stay Together and Love and Happiness, would have brought an entirely different energy and sound to the show's opening sequence. His smooth, romantic vocal style and gospel-influenced delivery could have given A Different World a completely different musical personality that might have shaped how audiences perceived the show. The theme song itself was written by Dawn Lewis, who also played Jaleesa on the show, along with composer Stu Gardner. The song's lyrics about growth, change, and finding your place in the world were perfectly suited for a show about college students discovering themselves, and having Al Green's distinctive voice deliver those words would have created a very different but equally compelling opening experience for viewers. However, for reasons that have never been fully explained publicly, the collaboration with Al Green never came to fruition. Whether it was due to scheduling conflicts, creative differences, or simply business negotiations that didn't work out, Green's version of the theme song never made it past the planning stages. Instead, the show initially used a version performed by Phoebe Snow for the first season, which had a more folk and jazz-influenced sound. Then when Debbie Allen took over as producer for the second season, she reached out to her personal friend Aretha Franklin to record what would become the definitive version of the theme song. Franklin's version, with her unmistakable, powerful voice and gospel-rooted delivery, ended up being used for seasons 2 through 5, and became the version that most fans remember and associate with the show. It's fascinating to imagine how different the show's legacy might have been if Al Green's soulful interpretation had become the soundtrack to Hillman College life. Fact 7. Debbie Allen made contract history for the cast. Debbie Allen didn't just transform a different world creatively when she took over as producer, she also revolutionized how television actors could advance their careers by making history with the cast's contracts. Starting in the 3rd season, Allen insisted that the network include unprecedented clauses that guaranteed cast members opportunities to write and direct episodes of the show, something that was virtually unheard of in television at that time. This groundbreaking move was Allen's way of ensuring that the talented actors she was working with could develop skills beyond just performing, giving them real power and creative control in the industry. Allen understood that most actors, especially actors of color, rarely got opportunities to move into the more powerful behind-the-camera roles that could sustain and advance their careers long-term. Kadeem Hardison, who played Dwayne Wayne, later revealed in interviews that Allen specifically told the cast, "The more you do, the less they can tell you that you can't do." This philosophy became Allen's guiding principle for empowering her actors to take on roles as writers, directors, and producers while they still had the platform and influence that came with being on a successful television show. The contract clauses Allen negotiated meant that by the show's later seasons, cast members were regularly stepping behind the camera to direct episodes. Kadeem Hardison directed multiple episodes, including the memorable Tupac Shakur guest appearance, while Jasmine Guy also took on directing responsibilities and co-wrote several episodes with other writers. Allen's insistence on these opportunities was particularly revolutionary because it came at a time when very few actors of any background were given chances to direct or write for television, and it was especially rare for Black actors to be offered these kinds of creative roles. Her strategy was designed to ensure that when A Different World eventually ended, the cast members would have developed additional skills and industry connections that could help them continue working in television and film. This approach to contract negotiation was so unusual and forward-thinking that it became a model for other shows and actors who wanted to expand their roles in the entertainment industry, proving that Allen was not just focused on making great television but also on building sustainable careers for the people she worked with. Fact 8. Dwayne Wayne's glasses inspired the flip phone. In one of the most delightful pieces of fictional character backstory ever created, a reunion special revealed that Dwayne Wayne actually invented the flip cell phone while working in Japan after graduation, and the inspiration came directly from his iconic flip-up glasses that made him famous throughout the show's 6 seasons. This creative detail connected Dwayne's signature fashion accessory to one of the most important technological innovations of the 1990s and early 2000s. For viewers who remember the show, Dwayne Wayne's flip-up glasses were absolutely central to his character identity and became one of the most recognizable props in television history. The glasses, which could flip from sunglasses to regular eyewear with a simple motion, were Dwayne's trademark look throughout his time at Hillman College and helped establish him as the quirky, intelligent math whiz who eventually won over the heart of Whitley Gilbert. According to the reunion special's storyline, after Dwayne and Whitley moved to Japan at the end of the series when he got a job at Kinishiwa Electronics, Dwayne's engineering background and his familiarity with flip mechanisms from years of wearing his signature glasses led him to develop the concept for a phone that could fold in half. This fictional backstory suggested that Dwayne applied the same basic mechanical principle that made his glasses so distinctive to create a revolutionary new form of mobile communication technology. The flip phone design that Dwayne supposedly invented became one of the most popular cell phone styles throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s. with companies like Motorola making flip phones that were essential communication devices for millions of people before smartphones took over the market. This reunion special detail was a brilliant way to connect Dwayne's character to real-world technological progress, while also celebrating the flip-up glasses that had become such an important part of pop culture. The glasses were so iconic that they inspired countless fashion trends and are still sold today as retro accessories, with many products specifically marketed as Dwayne Wayne style. Fact 9. Tupac made Kadeem Hardison jealous. In a surprisingly honest moment during a later interview, Kadeem Hardison revealed that he actually felt jealous of Tupac Shakur's natural acting ability when the rapper guest starred on A Different World in 1993. This admission came during an episode of the Allison Interviews podcast, where Hardison opened up about his experience directing Tupac in the episode called Homie Don't You Know Me, which featured the rapper as Piccolo, an old boyfriend of Jada Pinkett Smith's character Lena. Hardison, who had been playing Dwayne Wayne for 6 seasons and was an established television actor by that point, was genuinely impressed by Tupac's raw talent and emotional range during filming. He told the interviewer that while he had always loved Tupac as a rapper and respected his music, watching him act made him realize just how naturally gifted Tupac was as a performer beyond music. The specific quote that Hardison gave about his feelings was particularly revealing about Tupac's acting abilities. He said, "I was jealous of him as an actor because I just thought he had such range. He could touch places that I didn't know if I could go. I just wanted to watch." This admission shows how much Tupac's performance impressed someone who was already a seasoned professional actor with years of experience in television. What made Tupac's performance even more remarkable was that he wasn't playing a complex Shakespearean character or anything that required extensive dramatic training. Hardison noted that Tupac was essentially playing the neighborhood cat that comes in full of bravado to claim the girl he thinks is his. But even in this relatively straightforward role, Tupac brought such authenticity and emotional depth that it left a lasting impression on everyone who worked with him. Hardison also mentioned that Tupac and Jada Pinkett Smith, who were close friends from their time together at the Baltimore School for the Arts, had such natural chemistry that the directors didn't need to give them many notes during filming. He described their performances together as magic, saying that everything they did on camera felt completely authentic and powerful, which only added to Hardison's sense that he was witnessing something special in Tupac's acting ability. Fact 10. NBC cut intimate scenes between Tupac and Jada. One of the most surprising discoveries about Tupac Shakur's guest appearance on A Different World is that NBC actually cut some of the more intimate and explicit dialogue between his character Piccolo and Jada Pinkett Smith's character Lena from the original broadcast version. But these scenes have been restored in the streaming versions available on Netflix. This means that fans who watched the episode during its original run in 1993, or during reruns on network television, never saw the complete version of Tupac's performance. The censored material included a particularly revealing scene that takes place in Dorian and Terrell's dorm room, where Tupac's character Piccolo is talking with his friend Champ about his history with Lena. In this cut scene, Piccolo makes explicit references to his intimate knowledge of Lena's body, speaking in graphic terms about their past physical relationship. The dialogue was considered too mature and sexually explicit for the family-friendly time slot that A Different World occupied on NBC's Thursday night lineup. The editing decision was most likely made to keep the show appropriate for its broad audience, which included many younger viewers who had been following the characters since the show's beginning. NBC was particularly careful about content standards during prime-time hours, and the network probably felt that Tupac's raw and realistic portrayal of a street-smart ex-boyfriend was already pushing boundaries without including the more sexually explicit dialogue. What makes this censorship particularly interesting is that the missing scene actually provides important context for understanding the tension and conflict between Piccolo and Bumper Robinson's character Dorian throughout the episode. Without this dialogue, viewers during the original broadcast missed some of the underlying reasons why the two characters clash so intensely, particularly around Piccolo's possessive attitude toward Lena. The restoration of these scenes on Netflix has allowed fans to see Tupac's complete performance for the first time, revealing just how much more intense and mature his portrayal of Piccolo actually was. The uncensored version shows an even more complex character who isn't just a troublemaker from the old neighborhood, but someone with a genuinely complicated romantic history with Lena that makes his appearance at Hillman College much more emotionally charged and realistic. Fact 11. Future Superman played a racist antagonist. Years before Dean Cain became famous as Superman in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, he appeared on A Different World, playing a completely different type of character that would seem shocking to anyone who only knew him as the wholesome Man of Steel. In the Season 5 episode called The Cats in the Cradle, which aired in January of 1992, Cain played a racist white college student named Eddie, who becomes involved in a disturbing bias incident with Ron and Dwayne. The episode dealt with serious issues of racial prejudice and hate crimes in a way that was groundbreaking for television at the time. The storyline follows Ron and Dwayne as they attend a football game at a predominantly white college, where they encounter three white students who begin harassing them. The situation escalates when these students, including Cain's character Eddie, attempt to spray paint a racial slur on Ron's car as an act of revenge and intimidation. What makes this episode particularly powerful is that it shows the incident from multiple perspectives, with each group giving very different accounts of what happened when they're all arrested by campus police. The episode explores how racial bias affects everyone's perception of events and challenges viewers to think about their own assumptions and prejudices. Cain's performance in this role was notable because he convincingly portrayed the kind of casual racism and entitlement that many college students of color faced on predominantly white campuses. This was one of Cain's earliest television appearances, and he was still building his acting career after his professional football aspirations ended due to a knee injury during training camp with the Buffalo Bills. The contrast between this early role and his later career as Superman is particularly striking because Superman represents truth, justice, and moral righteousness, while Eddie represents exactly the opposite values. It's a testament to Cain's acting ability that he could portray such a convincingly unpleasant character early in his career, and it shows how A Different World was willing to tackle difficult and uncomfortable subjects that most sitcoms avoided completely. This episode has gained renewed attention in recent years as people have rediscovered it and noted the irony of the future Superman playing such a morally reprehensible character. Fact 12. The campus was actually two different schools. The beautiful campus that viewers came to know as Hillman College throughout A Different World's six-season run was actually a creative combination of filming locations that included both sound stages and real college campuses hundreds of miles apart. While all of the interior scenes, including the dorm rooms, classrooms, and the famous pit restaurant, were filmed on sound stages at Universal Studios in California, every single exterior shot that showed the Hillman campus was actually footage taken from two prestigious, historically black colleges located in Atlanta, Georgia. The production team used Clark Atlanta University and Spelman College to provide all of the outdoor campus scenes that gave Hillman College its authentic and inviting appearance. These two schools, both founded in the 19th century, offered the perfect backdrop for the fictional college because they had the traditional collegiate architecture and beautiful landscaping that the producers wanted to represent the ideal historically black college experience. Clark Atlanta University, which was formed in 1988 when Atlanta University merged with Clark College, provided many of the sweeping campus shots that appeared in the show's opening credits and throughout various episodes. The university's historic buildings and tree-lined walkways gave Hillman College the distinguished academic atmosphere that was so important to the show's portrayal of black excellence in higher education. Spelman College, the renowned historically black women's college, also contributed significant campus footage that helped create the visual identity of Hillman College. The combination of these two real campuses meant that the fictional Hillman College had an authentic feel that resonated with viewers who had attended historically black colleges and universities because they were literally seeing footage from actual HBCU campuses. This filming approach was particularly smart because it allowed the show to have both the controlled environment of Universal Studios for dialogue scenes and character interactions, while also showcasing the genuine beauty and academic tradition of real historically black institutions. The blend was so seamless that most viewers never realized they were seeing different locations, and the Atlanta campuses helped give Hillman College a sense of history and academic prestige that would have been much harder to create using only studio sets and artificial backdrops. Fact 13. Roseanne and Tom Arnold had secret riot cameos. In one of the most unexpected and bizarre casting choices in television history, Roseanne Barr and her then-husband Tom Arnold made completely uncredited cameo appearances as looters in A Different World's controversial two-part episode about the 1992 Los Angeles riots. This shocking guest appearance was entirely Debbie Allen's idea, and it served a very specific purpose in her portrayal of the civil unrest that followed the acquittal of the police officers who beat Rodney King. The episode, which opened the show's 6th season, dealt with Dwayne and Whitley's honeymoon experience in Los Angeles during the riots, showing how the newlyweds got caught up in the chaos and violence that erupted across the city. Allen made the bold decision to tackle this incredibly sensitive and recent news event, even though many people in the television industry thought it was too controversial and politically charged for a sitcom to address. Allen specifically wanted to show that the looting and destruction during the riots wasn't limited to any single racial or economic group, which is where Roseanne and Tom Arnold came into the picture. She deliberately cast them, along with several other white actors playing suburban soccer moms, to appear as people who were gleefully participating in the looting of high-end boutiques and stores. The creative choice to include these unexpected faces was Allen's way of challenging the media narrative that had largely focused on black and Latino participants in the riots, while downplaying the fact that people from all backgrounds were involved in the looting and destruction. Allen wanted her television audience to see what she felt the news media, including CNN, wasn't showing them about the true diversity of people who participated in the unrest. Roseanne Barr was at the height of her television fame at this time, starring in her own enormously popular sitcom, Roseanne, which made her appearance even more surprising for viewers who recognized her. The fact that these cameos were uncredited meant that many people who watched the episode might have thought they were seeing things, or weren't sure if it was really the famous comedian appearing as a looter on A Different World. This casting decision perfectly exemplified Allen's fearless approach to using the show as a platform for addressing difficult social and political issues. Fact 14. 3 cast members already knew each other from Spike Lee. 3 of A Different World's main cast members had already worked together and developed their on-screen chemistry before the show even began, because Jasmine Guy, Kadeem Hardison, and Daryl M. Bell had all appeared in Spike Lee's 1988 film School Days, which was also set at a historically black college. This previous collaboration meant that when they were cast on A Different World, they already had experience working together and understood the dynamics of portraying college life at an HBCU. School Days was Spike Lee's second feature film and dealt with many of the same themes that would later become central to A Different World, including issues of class, colorism, and social dynamics within the Black college experience. The film was set at the fictional Mission College and explored the tensions between different groups of students, particularly the conflict between the more politically conscious students and those focused on Greek life and social status. In School Days, Jasmine Guy played Dina, a member of the light-skinned sorority sisters known as the Wannabes, while Kadeem Hardison played Edge, a politically active student who was part of the Jigaboos group. Daryl M. Bell appeared in the film as well, giving all three actors experience working together in a college setting that dealt with serious social issues alongside entertainment. The fact that these three actors had already worked together on a film about Black college life gave them a natural understanding of the material and helped them bring authenticity to their roles on A Different World. Their previous collaboration also meant they had established working relationships and could build on the chemistry they had already developed during the filming of School Days. Interestingly, Spike Lee himself later expressed regret about not thinking to develop School Days as a television series concept. In a 2008 interview with Vibe magazine, Lee admitted, "I fell asleep on that one," referring to the missed opportunity to create a television show based on the themes and setting of his film. Lee recognized that A Different World had successfully captured many of the same ideas and storylines that he had explored in School Days, and he wished he had considered adapting his film concept for television before someone else created a similar show that became a cultural phenomenon. Fact 15. Glynn Turman was married to the theme song singer. One of the most remarkable coincidences in A Different World history involves the unexpected connection between Colonel Bradford Taylor, played by Glynn Turman, and the powerful voice that welcomed viewers to Hillman College every week during seasons 2 through 5. Glynn Turman had actually been married to Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul who sang the show's iconic theme song from 1978 to 1984, creating a fascinating behind-the-scenes link that most viewers never knew about. Turman joined A Different World in the second season as Colonel Taylor, the strict but caring military father of Whitley's roommate Kim Reese, and he became a beloved recurring character throughout the show's run. His character was known for his no-nonsense approach to parenting and his strong moral values. And Turman brought a commanding presence to the role that made Colonel Taylor one of the most respected adult figures on the show. Meanwhile, Aretha Franklin's version of the theme song became the definitive soundtrack to the show, with her soulful and powerful rendition of A Different World, setting the tone for each episode, and becoming one of the most recognizable television theme songs of the era. Franklin's version replaced the original Phoebe Snow recording from the first season and gave the show a more gospel-influenced and emotionally resonant opening that perfectly matched the series' focus on Black college life and personal growth. The fact that Turman and Franklin had been married during the early 1980s meant that when both became involved with A Different World, there was this unusual personal history connecting two important elements of the show. Their marriage had been a high-profile relationship in the entertainment world, bringing together Franklin's musical legacy with Turman's distinguished acting career that included roles in films like Cooley High and television shows going back to the 1970s. This connection becomes even more interesting when you consider that both Turman and Franklin were contributing to a show that was specifically focused on celebrating Black culture and education. Having these two accomplished artists from different entertainment backgrounds connected to the same project, with their own personal history, created an additional layer of authenticity and cultural significance that enhanced the show's impact on audiences.